Alright, so I'm gonna go over some trades today. It's 22nd of July. Go over my pre-market stuff. Overall, I did pretty well today. I made a pretty nice trade on the NASDAQ on the Qs. But I was able to read the pattern there pretty well and see that there was buyers were supporting price all morning into a key level, and then stops got ran, and it ended up being a decent trade. I was looking at bonds, looking at semiconductors, and I made a trade on Microsoft because it was lagging behind. But yeah, so there's nothing bothering me this morning really, other than the fact that I got ripped up yesterday, and it just motivated me to be sure that I have a clear edge, and that I do not act, or that I do not hesitate on acting on my edge. So that's more about just waiting for the edge to build up. And then I tried to make an effort not to overtrade today, not to overposition, and to choose the right quality trades that can make larger gains throughout the day, or the same amount of gains in 5 minutes. But those setups just need to be clear to me. I definitely missed some setups. I have a hard time skipping to being short biased on things, or just playing short things. Every day I look for the long setups, and it's something that I gotta work on, because there's plenty of short setups every day that would work really well. The semiconductors ended up being a short setup, and I played it to the long side, but ended up getting chopped on it, getting ripped up. So anyway, I'm gonna go over these trades today, and my psychology this morning was learning about how important it is to regulate sleep and timing while trading. There should be time set aside throughout the trading day to journal, meditate, visualize, and really take a break from stress of reading the tape and having risk on. So I never really got that time today. I cycled through my money before 12 o'clock, when at about 10:30 I should have had trades on that were gonna that were set up ready to roll, and I could leave the station, or go about my business some other way. So alright, I'm gonna get into this. So I did focus on the process and not worried about the P&L, but like I said, with a cash account, it's just you're such a disadvantage to things. I cycle through all the money that I have to trade with before noon, and for a lot of traders are done before noon anyway. But some of the styles of trading that I'm trying to look for is you battle it all day long, and you go both ways with something. You trade it up, you trade it down, and that's just something that I'm working on. Alright, so let's get into this. Looking at semiconductors. DocuSign. Nvidia was looking alright. I mean, this morning I didn't really jump into trades. I just was slow to get into some trades, waiting for things to set up a little more. I start searching for some good trade. See, this looks like a really good breakout trade to the upside, but I didn't like how far away it was so early. Since I wasn't in that move, I don't trade that. However, I did look for here. See, I bought this on a rip, and this thing really ripped up. And then the spreads got tacky on the options after I bought it, and that kind of, you know, that's on my end. That's a, you know, that's a mistake that I made. This thing would have been a much better buy back here, you know, but I thought it was going to run away, and FOMO got me. Ended up, whoops. Sorry about all the chainsaw noises. They're cutting a tree down outside the house. So what I was saying is that I got a little torn up on that. You know, I'm trying to trade the leveraged ETF. I probably would have done better trading something else, just because I just traded the leveraged ETF because it was cheaper. So yeah, I got out of that here. It didn't look like it's not holding this range, holding below the key level. That's a short setup right there. That is a short setup. And I did not reverse my position. So that's how that went. Which I'm not too worried about, because right now I'm just focused on not over trading, and if I get going on long short, I know that that's going to lead to some over trading issues. So right now, with my focus not being over trading, you take that paper cut in the morning, it's a $55 loss, a little bit, $5 over my risk allowance per trade, which is fun. I stuck to my rules. So as we keep going here, TLT, I really like the bonds here. They've continued to rally throughout the day, but I didn't think there was enough meat on the bone really to trade the TLT. Looked for a setup in SQ, but it's just not pretty. That's not really any sort of setup in my opinion. Not really on either time frame. Just kind of looks caution to stay away from that. It's going to stay in a range, what it looked like. So I might have set an alert on that. I don't think I did. Did a little scan. Coffee looked like it ran really hard today. DocuSign was going crazy. Apple was going crazy. So then I got the idea, like, let's look at the Qs. This right here, this setup in the Qs, was something that, to me, looked really strong. Big picture on the Qs. Just gonna pause for a second. Picture on the Qs, we're coming up on these highs. Felt like we had some upside to at least these highs here, even though they kind of were just like opening bell sell-offs. This was an opening bell ripping. Well, that was a full rip, then dip, then rip setup. And I was looking at it here. It looked like it consolidated all night. Looked good for. This was the pre-market high. So this right here was pre-market high. It went up, pulled back down out of that. But on the 5 minute, it looked like it held the VWAP and the 34 EMA really well. So go back to the video. I enter long on the Qs after looking. Okay, so there we go. Bought the Qs here. I liked what the tape was doing. Put my alert in. Green, green, green on the tape. Lots of people are moving over to the offers and starting to bid those, or starting to hit those offers. Peloton looking to set up, didn't get in that trade. Ended up being a short trade, short setup. Came up to here, tapped that, and then plummeted. So that would have been a great short up. And you know, there's a lot of meat on the bone there that I could have captured, but I didn't do that. So, you know, I got focused on this Qs trade. Still not doing anything, but I'm positioned in it, and that's alright. Starts to rally a little bit. What happens is that, yeah, okay, so here we go. Large offers here start getting taken out, and it pushes it with a little bit of momentum. Looking good. I'm in this with 2 contracts. Probably looking to, I'm not really looking to take one off into this momentum. I'm more looking to add on a pullback, because this set it up really nice. You know, I start looking at the ETFs, or I look at my multi-grid on it. Facebook rejected. You know, this whole time I'm looking at the Qs, trading the Qs. DocuSign starts running. Moderna. Qs pulled back again. And this is where I added, because I wasn't down yet on this. I was still up. I added 2 more contracts here when I see some confirmation of it beginning to wick on this. Starts wicking down here, and that to me is like, okay, well, buyers are keeping it from really touching this. Gets squeezed out of that. Okay, I had not bought it yet. I start drawing this wedge because it's pulling into this wedge, and I'm, you know, I'm down a couple bucks here probably. Looking for a breakout of this wedge and then a retest. So it breaks out, you know, and then doesn't retest. And so it's like, okay, well, I might not get into this, but this 363 level was important. Being guarded by the sellers. Okay, so here's where I want to look at this before I add. Okay, so this is from Raggy Horner. She made this grid, but I use it to gauge, you know, okay, what are the majority of these stocks doing? Are they ready to break out, or are they overextended, ready to pull back? What's going on here, you know? And NASDAQ's looking like this. Apple's looking like it's ready to break out. Microsoft is looking like it's ready to break out. It looks really like a really good pattern here. Amazon looking like it's ready to go. Google's ready to go. Johnson & Johnson is struggling. Facebook's ready to go. Netflix is struggling. Nvidia has got its own thing going on. There's a lot of other action going on with Nvidia. Comcast looked weak. Google looked strong. And Zom didn't look great. So really, okay, what am I thinking here? Well, what are the biggest names in this? Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, right? And the NASDAQ. And these are all big names in it, but those are the big ones. And they are all looking like strong setups. Like each one of these looks like a setup that I would put money into. But in order to avoid the overtrading stuff, I'm going to try to play the Qs because I think there's the most room to grow there. And so keeping that in mind, I'm ready to add here. Okay, so there's a trend line I drew there. Comes down to that and wicks. And I want to see where I add. Okay, so now we're breaking out above this key level, which was the swing high from earlier. 363.20 was what I was looking at as a price still long above. Looking for it to pull back here, test, and then go. And that's when I'm planning on adding. Everything looked good on larger time frames. 1 minute is where I'm going to execute. I think I already added at this point. I'm not sure though. Yeah, I might be adding here. Here we go. Add. And that's wicking below there. That's a good sign for me. You know, I kind of expect maybe 1 or 2 candles of red still to come into this, but I'm okay with that. Okay, we missed it. Okay, now here is where I'm looking at getting into Microsoft, because it looked like one of the really solid setups from earlier. Ready to break out. The Qs had done broke out here. Holding this 34. Good for me. Goes up higher. I start taking some off into this, you know, because we broke out above. I put one on Microsoft and then it immediately pulls back. So I start taking stuff off here. You can see I got filled out of Microsoft because I thought that that was a good place to take some risk off there. Didn't like that setup anymore. Qs look great, still running. I drew some fibs and it pulls right back down to the 161. And I'm like, okay, well that could be a good place to add. Even though I took some off up here, you know, it pulls back down there, and then this is where I begin to get chopped up. Trying to trade both of these. the NASDAQ gives me some more profit and then takes it back. And then I start scaling out of it here. Put an alert there, it triggered immediately. It's not looking good for what I want. It's looking like a bullish move, but it's got to hold this. And there was a hold on the bid at 363.50. Right, it pulls back up, dumps. Okay, this is where I'm starting to think, okay, this is not really working in my favor anymore. There's a pullback due beyond just a little flag. And, you know, I'm trying to keep this profit that I have on it because I gave a lot of it back on Microsoft. I gave a third of it back on Microsoft. Alright, well, I don't want to give back on Qs too. But I don't think I'm going to get much more of a move on these unless it breaks out. This wick right here was the failed breakout that kind of clued me into, oh, okay, this is not really a good flag. This is kind of more of a bear setup, a double top. And so I'm really wary of, I'm paying attention to this bid here. I'm still focused on Microsoft for some reason. But I'm paying attention to this bid here. When it starts wicking down to 363.48, that's when I'm like, okay, this thing's not holding up very well. I'm going to start to try and get out of this because I thought about adding here, and I did add, I believe. And, but it didn't hold, and, you know, that's the ad. The ad is like, okay, I can give it 5 cents of risk here and see what happens. Because the setup is there to give it 5 cents of risk. It's tight. Okay, we wick below, rebid. Wick below and kind of hold it. Rebid. Wick below. Okay, now I'm like, alright, this thing is not holding up well. Alright, we get a little bit of pop. At this point, they're just trapping buyers. Okay, the offers are way stronger than the bids, and the bids should be stronger because this is a support level. And that is cluing me into, hey, like something's going on here that you need to focus on because this is starting to leak below where you want it to be. And that, your stop loss comes into play on this. So it's not breaking above this level anymore, and that's another sign like, okay, we retested this and we're wicking above it now. Now there's pressure on both ends, it's squeezing, and there's a lot more people trying to sell this thing, which, you know, I look for as a way to blow stops, but this is not looking like that. This is looking like more of people are trying to push it out of a range or accumulate in this range and then see it fall. Looking for a key level to look at that's similar to this. Okay, now we start losing it. We're just getting squeezed really hard here. Price doesn't know where to go. It's in a 5 cent range. Starts trying to break above. It doesn't. It's not able to do it. It's the price action is just showing, okay, this thing is, there's sellers on this thing. Look at this offers here. I mean, people are trying to get into this for the short. That's cool. I'm trying to make sure it holds this level. It's 45 level was where I was getting stopped out. Okay, here we go. Bids and offers are about the same here, and then we wick down. Rebid. Wick down again, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're not going either way here. I don't like where this is headed. We're back down below 50. I'm starting to panic out of this. I want to get filled out of it really quick. 47, not looking good anymore. Now we're really starting to show a building of bearish momentum here, which would have been really great to get short with some puts. And I'm still sucked into this long side idea. Can't get out. Starts to do some weird stuff here. Obviously some people are getting trapped in here. Some traders are getting trapped in both directions, and it's going to make an interesting volatile, you know, a couple of minutes here, probably 3 or 4 minutes, where it's just gonna run stops both ways, and then momentum's gonna take over in one direction. And it gets ran. I close. I mean, I sell somewhere in here. It's at my stop, 363.45. Get out. I mean, like I held my rules very well here until this happens. Now this is just a rookie mistake. I get long here. It explodes up, gaps this. I get long here, and it just quickly runs out of momentum. Nobody's, like, everybody wants to sell this pop-up. I mean, they just absorb all of this all the way up. And I'm thinking this is a great long opportunity. So, I mean, this thing broke out. It broke out of the wedge. But did it really? Because this wick makes it an unclean. It takes the clean setup out of this. This would have been, you know, an awesome wedge, but this wick right here is what throws me, and that's where we start to see it crash. And so, you know, in the future, I look for that wick like that that's going to throw the whole bull flag out of, you know, keeps it from working. I get out because I don't think this is a good place to be. I really want to see it go. And it comes back up to retest that, but just immediately gets smacked down. I mean, offers step up, huge offers. Not huge, but I mean, decent size offers come in compared to the bids. Bids are looking sparse, and it just gives it a way for people to sweep through these prices. And it just fails this breakout. It's touching this wick here. It does not like it. Somebody's selling big there. This guy here, 370, you know, 75 just gets lots of action, lots of bids here or offers here, and then people start chasing it down, and it just calms down. Yep. And I pull the plug on it because it can't get above this. It's not going to right now. You know, it's trying to squeeze between these, but I'm, you know, it's tried it 3 times now and can't do it. This is a short setup. Short this, short this, short this, short this. Especially after it breaks this trend line. You're like, okay, extend that up there. That's going to be a short break here in a second. And yeah, it ends up being a really good short play. And but anyway, I didn't do that, so I got chopped right there, or ripped up, but only for a couple bucks. And really, this was what got me, because I was looking to add here all the way down and then see it go, stair step that, but it didn't do that. Instead, it got hit with large orders here, iceberg orders that just absorb this and send it back down. Let me go over some of my questions for the day. Okay, where did my intuition come in? Intuition on this was saying that yes, 1, 2, 3 tops, not working, and then the other thing was when it was wicking so much down here, like there was a hold on the bids here that were just keeping it alive there, so that you could collect some sellers and then stop them, and that's what happened. And then people jumped in the momentum here, and then this seller just totally took control. And my intuition was clouded by this at first, because this wick right here was not really much of my attention at the time. But that is a place that they trap buyers, and then it comes back up and traps them again, and then stops them out below this. And that, to me, is a great intuitive play that I use the intuition to get out of the trade. And that's how I am using my intuition right now as I build it up. Eventually, I'd like to be able to use that to say, oh, this is short, but right now I'm just using it to keep me from losing money. So was I in control of my trading? I believe so. I believe I overtraded always. I always do. But I think I scaled in and out of this at really good levels, and read the tape really well on it. I managed my risk correctly. Daily stop was 190. Risk per trade stop was $50. So I did exceptionally well with that today. And that's really what I've been working on a lot lately. It's just, if I can take care of my losers, then and let my winners play out and take the money off the table when it gets ready, that is how I will become profitable eventually, consistently. And a $50 day or a $44 day is still a green day, and it's still something that is good for me. Especially if I can put up a couple of these in a row and go into next week strong. By breaking my trading rules, I'm trying to take 1 to 3 trades a day. I'd say that I did the 3 trades, but I traded the Qs like a lot. I would like to back off of that a little bit. Did I add or subtract any bad habits? I think I added some intuitive thoughts. Like, when I start seeing this wicking like this price action, I'm able to read that pattern better now because I've seen it happen in real time with my money on the line. And I came back and reviewed it, and I would never pick up on this wick causing this problem here, like leading me to believe, like, okay, this is not actually a falling wedge, this is a buyer trap, and it's just not gonna, it's gonna get slammed again at that level. And that's something to think about in the future, because I can use that for future trades, short setups, stuff like that. Did I get euphoric or stressed out? Not really. The Microsoft trade was more of a euphoria. I think I put that on because I wanted the Qs to do so well, and it was, breaking out. But what happened was that, that's not what happened here. So, Microsoft it was a dud play, and it was me looking for a way to complement and supplement this Qs trade. But it was the same direction, same play, same everything. So that was kind of stupid. It wasn't stupid. It's just I'm learning, So mindful of thought patterns, and what did I find interesting about that? Any thought patterns that I had today, I don't really remember, because I didn't take my breaks like I was supposed to and think about things. I've got to work on that. Tomorrow's a new day. I can really try and implement that. I was supposed to put timers up, but I ended up not doing it. But anyway, you know, this comes into me continually monitoring my susceptibility to making errors, you know. This is Mark Douglas stuff here. I'm a consistent winner because I objectively identify my edges, predefine the risk of every trade, accept the risk where I'm willing to let go of the trade, act on my edges without reservation or hesitation, pay myself as the market makes money available to me, and continually monitor my susceptibility to making errors, and understand the absolute necessity of the principles of consistent success, and therefore I never violate them. This is some of the stuff that, you know, really has helped me build a trader mindset. I try to go through a checklist on these and kind of think like, okay, mental quick checklist. What are we going to do with this trade? I objectively identify my edges, predefine the risk, accept the risk, act on my edges, pay myself, and continue. I did all of these things very well today. That right there is how you get better every day. You know, that is what that looked like. This, following this, I'm a consistent winner because I do these things, leads to me getting better every day. And if I don't do these things every day, I will not get better every day. And if I don't do these reviews every day, I don't get better. And that's kind of just how it is. It's a great thing. You make one good trade, then one good trade, then one good trade. Thanks, Mike Belfiore, for that. It's really inspired me. So anyway, this is getting pretty long. So